So we were running out of time and he says, no, it's not in the right spot, but get off anyway. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what?
That stuff isn't scripted. There's no, like, predicting when things are gonna happen. They just do.
I was deathly ill the entire time, could not breathe.
Michael pulled me aside and told me that I was scouting lead, and I had no idea what to do.
Fear and adrenaline and gracious professional.
What was your first thought when it was announced that qualifiers would begin on Thursday?
I wasn't in town and I had to drive 2 hours to get there on town, and I had to find someone to stay with, and I had to figure everything out when I got there, before I got there.
That scout, my first thought was that first scouting lead wasn't there, so what would we do? And then Michael pulled me aside and told me that I was scouting lead, and I had no idea what to do. But it worked out because I was able to get people in their scouting.
Oh no.
So I figured I'm not gonna go to sleep late anyway. Might as well stay up, lock in, and get it done.
Yeah, they told us to get off the field and that they were shortening the competition, and I went, oh, we're so messed up. Like, this is not gonna go well, guys.
I think I just shrugged.
Yeah, I was already really tired sitting in the stands, especially waiting to run past us. And Grayson goes, did you not hear they're shortening the competition? And it's all just like stress.
I was panicked, and every other team having to take people caused us to be like very strapped for the amount of people that we had to do each individual thing.
I'm kind of just, the guy who takes photos, so I wasn't like, oh no, my plans are ruined. I mean, my evening plans were ruined, that's true, but I mean, at competition, I wasn't that bothered.
Well, I think it was very panicked at first because we were not prepared at all, and we got into the pits ready to get the bot ready for the first quals match, and the cam was out, and that was a little scary, but we were able to calm down and get everything handled pretty quickly and well.
I thought it was a joke whenever we went on because we put the robot on the field for practice match, and then I can't remember if it was Mr. Mike or Ryan, but then they're like, take the robot off the field. I was like, what do you mean? Like, take the robot off the field? I was like, are you joking? It's like, no, practice match is starting in like 30 minutes. I was like, whoa. That was pretty scary though. I thought they were joking first.
I think we handled it really well. I mean, the first few seconds, but once we got to the pits, we formulated a plan and then we executed it really well. And I just think, even though it was unexpected, we still won.
Yeah, I think it was pretty abrupt because everyone was out of the pits watching our last match of the night, trying to get ready for quals matches. So when we went back to the pits, no one was in there. They weren't ready to. But we pulled through.
What was the hardest aspect of the competition?
We were working on a skeleton crew because a lot of people hadn't come in and we still needed people to scout.
I mean, personally, the hardest part was staying awake that long. Like, we were up for a long time on Thursday. Like, I was awake for 17 hours, and then I had to come back and do it again Friday. It was just a lot.
Yeah, for me it was standing in the pit for multiple hours with the camera. My back and feet really hurt afterwards. Just filming every match.
I'd say like also the stress of us having to do Dean's List.
Yeah. Like, they called it and we were like, oh no, we're gonna be stressed and doing this interview?
Yeah. I was scared because I didn't want to leave the pit during
the crew call.
Alliance selection with the timer this year is so loud, it's so scary because it's blaring and you can't hear anyone speaking into the microphone. It's just a noise.
Ensuring everyone is scouting and realizing that before the scouting data is over, so that way we don't have to rescout a lot of matches.
Just making sure I had enough people delegated for each individual position because I didn't want to miss anything.
Yeah, I think my most difficult part for me was having to make up for whenever Hallie went to Impact because I had to, it was like a person missing. That's like a third of our task force gone.
Also, just because I had the media pass, I was one of the only people who was more free to move around on the team. I was essentially delegated to being the primary message deliverer, and I had to get everyone input.
The sleep. It was and because it was not as long as time, we stayed up a lot later, and then we would go to the hotel, and then we would have a drive meeting, and I went to bed personally. I went to bed at 12:30. I feel most of us at about the same time.
it.
Yeah, with the competition only being 2 days long instead of 3, we had a lot less time to prepare for in between the qualification matches and less time for driver reviews.
I think one of the hardest things was making sure we had good scouting data, but everyone stepped up enough and we were able to feel that our scouting capital was even there that first day.
I think it's probably getting like refocused after winning the first finals match and like watching the second finals match.
What went through your mind when the robot first tipped over at the beginning of one of the more important qualifier events?
Fear and stress. Because we all fully believe if we didn't flip, that we would have been ranked a lot higher. And it flipped, and we didn't know if anything was broken or not, and we didn't know what caused it at first, and it was just a lot.
Yeah, much like she said, one of my big fears was that something broke because it fell directly on the algae claw. And in previous years, whenever something falls or hits the claw, the actual beam supporting tends to like snap in half. And I'm not sure if we had spares of that beam. And it also was panic because it was our other team member had also wasn't working, so our alliance was being carried by a kit bot, and that put a lot of fear because we kind of needed to win that qualifier.
I'm pretty sure if you watch the video, you can see me. I'm watching the robot and I just go, or I'm like standing there frozen for the rest of the match. Like I am freaking out.
I don't know if we were. When was that? Was that like 10 a.m.?
No, that was
like
day
towards
one.
the end of the day.
That was at the end of day one.
I don't know where I was. I was somewhere doing something that wasn't pit, but was still robots.
It might have been your
And oh yeah, I might have been taking medicine. And I get a bunch of texts that are like, robot just flipped, and I'm like, time to go back to pit.
Back to the grind.
Back to the grind. But I knew she'd survive.
Yeah.
He would survive.
Guys,
I'm
this
having a
was
girl.
one of the matches I was not down there with the camera filming. And it's like kind of messed up, but my first thought was, oh man, I should have got that. I would have been there. It would have been so good for content.
I'm gonna be honest, I kind of laughed. Yeah, I thought it was really funny. I went to take a picture of it. I got a picture or two of it. I was just like, haha, that sucks.
So I was panicking a lot, but people would still want to see that. And if you can't laugh at your own mistakes, then what's even the point of making the mistake?
I thought, okay, I have to go and help the other teams to drive coach them to make sure that we can actually still kind of try save this match.
But we had a really good seat to watch the match from.
My first idea was to try to flip the rubber back over with one of the mechanisms, but it ended up not working.
I just had a good video.
How do you think the chaos of the competition affected Dean's List and Impact?
I was nervous for Dean's List. I mean, being the first time I've done a big interview like that on my own, pretty big. But like the competition was stressful, so it was already high heart rate, But we went in there and they were calming and nice, so that made it easier. But we didn't get a ton of practice time with everything that was happening.
I
with the
mean, we
robot.
didn't practice at all
No.
for Dean's List.
Dean's List, not at all. I mean, Impact, we definitely practiced, but Dean's List was kind of thrown in there.
For my Dean's List, I mean, I was pretty confident. I know I have done enough, but I've always been bad at interviews and public speaking and all that because I tend to ramble, if you haven't noticed. But I went in and I got through a few questions, a good bit of questions, and I think I went into detail and I went through all of that. And I'd say it overall went well. The stress of the competition, honestly, it was acclimatizing to the stress of Dean's List. So when I walked in, I was like, this is nothing compared to 2 comps in one day. Well, 2 days comp in one day.
Yeah, for going to Impact, I was a sub for someone else.
Very last minute.
Very last minute. So the whole time I was wondering oh, it's fine, my sub is here, Larry's here, I'm good. And then it's 11:15 at night, we're all leaving the stadium and someone comes up to me, it's like, hey, you're gonna go in for Impact. The next day it's just me worrying a little bit until we get 15 minutes before. I'm stressing because I know I've practiced and I'm ready, but what if I'm not?
They were both originally supposed to be subbed out because
Well, I was
they were subbed out. Not subbed out.
I was supposed to be since I'm on drive team, but
as is Larry, our human player.
Yeah, so I ended up talking our mentors into letting me do it because of the question round.
Yes.
And we were worried that our subs wouldn't be able to answer the questions since they haven't been on the team as long as us. They've still done an amazing job, and I'm so proud of them for all the work they've done to help us. But we just...
At the end of the day, it all comes down to practice.
Yeah, so my sub had been an ambassador earlier in the day, and she just had so much on her plate. I was like, girl, let me just take this from you, and you can breathe.
She had like 4 jobs. So.
Yeah, she's done an amazing job.
I'd say we rehearsed right before in like the entrance lobby with an audience of random strangers. They all like clapped for us when we were done. So I think that confidence boost definitely helped. And all of us being so previously stressed, I think like honestly we didn't have time to over worry about it.
How were you able to like decide the alliances that we
We were based off of how we were ranked, and then after we were picked by Siege, we knew we wanted a good third bot to do defense, and so we went through our list and we went through ranking it based off of defense capability, and we knew the bots they're very reliable, and they also have a have a climb, and so we thought they would be the best for our group.
Were there any major notable like issues or occurrences when it came to substituting in people?
Well, for one, I had no idea how to translate that spreadsheet. And Mr. Louis told me how to get access to it, but told me nothing about it. And I didn't know if there was a specific way she wanted people delegated or certain people scouting.
With most of your team stuck scouting, how are you able to get so much media from this event?
I had to very carefully decide who I wanted doing what. And I had to make sure that people were able to record every single thing. Because the best part about robotics is that stuff isn't scripted. There's no like predicting when things are gonna happen. They just do.
Since every person on the media team has their own camera, it wasn't like really that big of an issue in my opinion. I could go down to where like the walkway area, set up a tripod, like swivel it, take pictures while I'm still scouting at the same time. So it wasn't like super big of a problem, but it was just a little annoying.
What kept you able to consistently perform in every single match you participated in?
I think it was
That's real though.
I think we were able to have a pretty consistent strategy, so we didn't change it up that much. So we were able to get into that good rhythm, and the other teams were able to kind of play around us, and we worked pretty well with the other teams.
I splashed water on my face to stay awake.
Yeah, I was sharing gum the entire competition to take my mind off the anxiety of going to matches.
Wow, that was really a unique competition. If you want to see more like it, follow our YouTube and other social medias, or come see us at the Bayou Regional or the FRC World Championship.